Imagine a show so beloved that it didn't just dominate television ratings for over a decade, it literally changed the English language. One character, one leather jacket, one thumbs up, and suddenly the word cool had a new king. But here is what most fans never knew. Behind the laughs, behind the jukeboxes and the diners, the cast of Happy Days was living lives far more dramatic, far more heartbreaking, and far more triumphant than anything that ever aired on screen. Some of them went on to become Hollywood royalty. Some quietly disappeared, and some faced storms so devastating they never fully recovered. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what happened to every one of them, and at least one story is going to shock you completely. The Rise of Happy Days. It began not as a phenomenon, but as a footnote. In 1972, producer Gary Marshall created a short segment for the anthology series Love American Style, a nostalgic little piece set in the 1950s called Love and the Happy Days. It starred a young actor named Ron Howard, already famous from The Andy Griffith Show, and it barely registered with audiences at the time. But 2 years later, inspired by the massive success of George Lucas's nostalgia-drenched film American Graffiti, which starred Ron Howard, ABC decided to take a chance. They greenlit a full series, and on January 15, 1974, Happy Days premiered. Set in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the late 1950s and early 1960s, the show followed the Cunningham family and their circle of friends, wholesome, funny, and warm. It was an immediate hit, but no one could have predicted what would happen in its third season, when a background character with a few lines and a leather jacket suddenly became the most iconic figure in American television. The show ran for 11 seasons and 255 episodes, ending in 1984. It launched spin-offs, toys, lunchboxes, and careers. It defined an era. And then the cameras stopped, and real life began for everyone involved.
Let us begin with the man who changed everything. Henry Winkler was born on October 30th, 1945, in New York City. The son of German Jewish immigrants who had fled Nazi Germany. Growing up, he struggled enormously in school, something he would only understand decades later when he was diagnosed with dyslexia. He studied acting at the Yale School of Drama, and by the time Happy Days came along, he was in his late 20s, auditioning for the role of Fonzie with very little expectation of landing it. The producers originally envisioned Fonzie as a minor supporting character, a tough kid from the wrong side of the tracks. Henry Winkler changed all of that. His magnetism was so undeniable that the character grew and grew until Fonzie was the heart of the show. He received 3 Emmy nominations for the role and became one of the most recognizable faces on the planet.
But few fans knew what happened behind the scenes. Winkler was so identified with Fonzie that casting directors refused to see him as anything else. And for years after the show ended, his career stalled badly. He turned down the role of Danny Zuko in Grease because he feared being typecast, a decision that haunted him. However, his life changed dramatically in the decades that followed. He reinvented himself as a children's book author, writing the beloved Hank Zipser series about a dyslexic boy, drawing directly from his own painful childhood. And then came Barry, the HBO dark comedy series that premiered in 2018, in which Winkler played Gene Cousineau, an acting teacher. The performance earned him his first Emmy Award at the age of 72. The audience at the ceremony gave him a standing ovation, and viewers watching at home were in tears. Today, Henry Winkler is 80 years old, still working, still beloved, and stands as one of the genuinely admired figures in the entertainment industry. He is alive, thriving, and showing no signs of slowing down. Now, keep watching, because the next cast member's journey from Happy Days to Hollywood legend is a story unlike any other. Ron Howard was just 19 years old when Happy Days premiered. He had been a child star on The Andy Griffith Show and carried that boy-next-door charm effortlessly into the role of Richie Cunningham. He was the moral center of the show, decent, earnest, always doing the right thing. But Ron Howard had bigger plans. While still appearing on Happy Days, he began quietly directing short films. He left the series in 1980, 2 seasons before it ended, and threw himself entirely into filmmaking. The results were staggering. Splash, Cocoon, Parenthood, Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, which won him the Academy Award for Best Director in 2002, Cinderella Man, Frost Nixon, Rush. The list goes on and on. Ron Howard became one of the most commercially successful and critically respected directors in Hollywood history. He married his college sweetheart, Cheryl Alley, in 1975, and they remain together to this day, a rarity in Hollywood that speaks volumes about the man's character. He is 72 years old, still directing, and his legacy in cinema is firmly secured. The next chapter brings us to the warm, dependable heart of the Cunningham household. Tom Bosley brought Howard Cunningham to life with such quiet, genuine warmth that audiences felt they were watching their own father. Born on October 1st, 1927, in Chicago, Bosley was a Broadway veteran before television ever called. He had won a Tony Award for his performance in the 1959 musical Fiorello, a credential that spoke to his extraordinary theatrical talent. On Happy Days, he was the steady moral anchor of the family, and off-screen, he was reportedly just as kind and generous. After Happy Days, he found continued success as Father Frank Dowling in the mystery series Father Dowling Mysteries. He was married twice and had a daughter, Amy. In his later years, Bosley battled heart disease, and on October 19, 2010, he passed away at the age of 83 from heart failure at a hospital in Palm Springs, California. The entertainment world mourned deeply, and his castmates spoke of him with nothing but reverence. Staying with the Cunningham family, we turn to the matriarch, a woman whose career proved far longer and more remarkable than even she might have expected. Marion Ross was 35 years old when she first played Marion Cunningham, and she brought a graceful, understated strength to the role that made her one of television's most beloved mothers. Born on October 25, 1928, in Albert Lea, Minnesota, Ross had worked steadily in film and television for years before Happy Days gave her the role that would define her public life. But few fans knew what happened behind the scenes in her personal life. She endured a difficult first marriage to Freeman Meskimen, with whom she had 2 children, before the couple divorced. She later found lasting love with Paul Michael, with whom she spent decades. Marion Ross outlasted the show, outlasted the era, and kept on working. She appeared in everything from Brooklyn Nine-Nine to The Drew Carey Show to a critically praised recurring role in the comedy drama series iZombie. As of 2026, Marion Ross is 97 years old and remains a living connection to Happy Days' golden era. She is one of the last surviving members of the original cast, and her resilience is simply extraordinary.
The show famously coined the phrase, "jumping the shark," a cultural term that originated from a 5th season episode in which Fonzie, on water skis, literally jumps over a shark. Critics used the moment to describe the precise point at which a once great show begins to decline. Ironically, Happy Days continued for 6 more seasons after that episode. The cast was reportedly split on many creative decisions, with tensions occasionally rising between producers and actors over storylines and salaries. Henry Winkler advocated strongly for his co-stars during contract negotiations, and the ensemble's loyalty to one another off-screen was one of the genuine, heartwarming truths of the production. Anson Williams, who played the lovable, singing Patsy Weber, was born on September 25, 1949. He came to the show as a largely unknown actor and rode its popularity to a moderately busy career in television. But Patsy's musical talents were not entirely fictional. Williams genuinely loved music and transitioned into directing after the show ended, working behind the camera on Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, among others. He also became a passionate advocate for health innovation, developing a business around health-related products. He is 76 years old and alive today. Don Most, who played the freckle-faced, joke-cracking Ralph Mouth, was born August 8, 1953. He was just 20 years old when the series began, and his natural comedic timing made Ralph one of the fan favorites. After Happy Days, Most built a career in television guest roles, stage work, and even returned to his love of music, performing as a big band singer. He married Morgan Hart in 1982, and the couple has 2 daughters. He has remained connected to the Happy Days community throughout the years, participating in reunions and retrospectives. Today, he is 72 years old and in good health. The next story, however, is one that broke the hearts of fans around the world. Erin Moran played Joni Cunningham with a bubbly, spirited energy that made her one of the show's most endearing characters. Born on October 18, 1960, she was just 13 years old when Happy Days began. She grew up entirely in the public eye. After the show ended, she reprised the role in the spin-off Joni Loves Chachi, but the series failed quickly, and the years that followed were deeply difficult. Erin struggled with addiction and reportedly faced severe financial hardship, at one point living in a trailer park with her husband, Stephen Fleischman. She spoke publicly about the emotional toll of losing her identity after the show, the painful reality of being defined entirely by a character she played as a child. Years later, tragedy would strike in the most devastating way. On April 22, 2017, Erin Moran was found unresponsive at her home in Harrison County, Indiana. She was 56 years old. The cause of death was later confirmed to be complications from stage 4 throat cancer. Her passing prompted an outpouring of grief from fans and co-stars alike, and it shone a difficult light on the challenges faced by child actors when the spotlight fades. Scott Baio, who joined the cast in 1977 as Fonzie's younger cousin Chachi Arcola, was born September 22, 1960. His youthful charm and undeniable screen presence made him a teen idol almost immediately, and his on-screen romance with Aaron Moran's Joni was a highlight of the later seasons. After Happy Days and the short-lived Joni Loves Chachi, Baio found continued success with Charles in Charge, which ran from 1984 to 1990. His personal life has been turbulent and, in recent years, controversial. He has made headlines for his outspoken political views and has faced various public disputes. He married Renee Sloan in 2007, and the couple has a daughter. Today, Scott Baio is 65 years old and alive. Al Molinaro, the gentle, soft-spoken actor who played diner owner Al Del Vecchio, was born on February 24, 1919, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was already in his 50s when he joined the cast and brought a warm, bumbling dignity to the role. After Happy Days, he continued working in television and famously appeared in McDonald's commercials. His personal life was marked by loss. He outlived a son and faced the quiet struggles of aging in an industry that rarely looks back. Al Molinaro passed away on October 30th, 2015, at the age of 96 from complications related to a gallbladder problem. He had lived an extraordinarily long and full life, and his death marked yet another farewell to the Happy Days family.
And then there is Pat Morita, a man whose story contains more layers of triumph and heartbreak than most people ever know. Pat Morita was born on June 28, 1932, in Iselton, California, to Japanese immigrant parents. As a child, he was diagnosed with spinal tuberculosis and spent 9 of his formative years in a hospital. He was then placed in an internment camp during World War II, an experience of profound injustice that shaped him deeply. He turned to comedy as a way to connect with people, and by the time he joined Happy Days as Arnold Takahashi, the cheerful diner owner, he had already built a reputation on the stand-up circuit. The role made him a household name, but his greatest achievement came later, in 1984, when he played the iconic Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid, a performance so moving that it earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He married 3 times and spoke openly in later years about his struggles with alcohol and the lasting scars of his childhood suffering. Pat Morita passed away on November 24, 2005, from kidney failure. Today, his legacy continues to inspire millions, and Mr. Miyagi remains one of cinema's most beloved characters. As of 2026, several members of the Happy Days family are still with us and still active. Henry Winkler, at 80, continues to work in film and television. Ron Howard, at 72, remains one of Hollywood's premier directors. Marion Ross, at 97, is a living treasure of the medium. Anson Williams and Don Most are both in their 70s, healthy and connected to the show's lasting community. Scott Baio remains in the public conversation at 65. The losses the show has endured are significant. Tom Bosley, Al Molinaro, Pat Morita, Erin Moran. Gary Marshall himself, the creative genius who built this world, passed away on July 19, 2016, from pneumonia following a stroke. Each departure has reminded fans how time moves, relentlessly and without sentiment. Happy Days was more than a television show. It was a collective memory, a warm, lit room that America could step into whenever the outside world felt cold. It helped define nostalgia as a commercial and emotional force in American culture. It launched careers that reshaped Hollywood. It gave the world the Fonz, and with him the lesson that cool was not about cruelty or arrogance, but about loyalty, heart, and showing up for the people you love. The show also demonstrated something quietly radical for its time, that a family sitcom could be genuinely funny without ever being mean. The Cunninghams were not perfect. Ralph was vain. Richie made mistakes. Fonzie had walls around his heart that took years to come down. But the show always chose kindness in the end. And perhaps that is why, more than 50 years after it first aired, people still find their way back to it.
There is something deeply human about revisiting the people who were part of our childhoods, not to preserve some impossible illusion of permanence, but to honor the real, complicated, beautiful lives they lived once the cameras stopped rolling. The cast of Happy Days gave audiences something rare, a decade of genuine joy, and in return, life gave each of them a story worth telling. Some of those stories are triumphant, some are heartbreaking, all of them are real. Henry Winkler finally holding his Emmy at 72, Ron Howard standing on the Academy Award stage, Marion Ross still here at 97, still bringing grace to every room she enters. Erin Moran, who deserved so much more time and so much more peace than life allowed her. Pat Morita, who survived a childhood that would have broken most people and went on to create one of cinema's most beloved mentors. Tom Bosley and Al Molinaro, who gave warmth and dignity to every scene they ever shared. These are not just footnotes in television history, they are lives, full, imperfect, irreplaceable lives. Which Happy Days cast member was your favorite, and which story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into television history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more classic TV retrospectives.